I don't believe the last claim, by the way. I am sure that the Iranians have a way of consulting their very own supreme leader. I go back to what Eve Smith said to me a few days ago in an email that she sent. This is before the latest American strike on Iran. What senior Iranian official in their senses would want to travel and meet with American officials now, given the assassination spree that the Israelis have been under? It's a wonder that Arakshi himself is doing so, but then of course he is the foreign minister of Iran. If we're talking about the supreme leader of Iran, well, the Americans and the Israelis have already spoken of their desire to kill him. At least the Israelis have been absolutely forthright about this. So it would be absolute idiotic folly for Khamenei to leave whatever secret location he is in at the moment, to make himself visible and to travel to Istanbul. Even if Donald Trump himself were to give Khamenei an absolute categorical assurance of safe conduct, how could Khamenei rely upon it? I don't know whether in the United States they understand yet, at least in the administration, the damage that this affair has done. I suspect that we are indeed now in the opening stages of a protracted war in the Middle East. It could be that, like many of these wars, there are periods of intensity and periods of abatement. It might be that there are not strikes and attacks taking place every day. But let's assume that I am right and that there is a protracted war and that the Iranians continue to launch strikes, missile strikes against Israel. The United States will have to launch counterstrikes against Iran. Israel has only limited capacity to continue to hit targets against Iran. That means that the United States is going to have to keep much of its fleet, 3 aircraft carriers at the moment, permanently based in locations around Iran. It's going to have to send more of its air defense interceptors to try to protect its bases from potential Iranian attacks. Because even if Iran at the moment has no incentive, no logical incentive to attack American bases, if the Americans, at the urging of the Israelis, attack Iran, regardless, that Iranian calculus could also change. If this becomes protracted, the United States will be bogged down in another forever war in the Middle East against the most powerful military power in the Middle East. And of course, its navy, as I said, will be trapped in that conflict. Its forces will be trapped in that conflict. For the moment, there is no talk about a ground war against Iran. But of course, if the conflict becomes protracted, maybe voices suggesting that very thing will start to appear, which would of course be another disaster for the United States were that to happen, because a ground war against Iran on Iranian territory would be, I suspect, a complete nightmare, given the size and geography of the country. But anyway, one could see how the United States is maneuvering itself into an indefinite conflict, even as US officials, people like Elbridge Colby, repeatedly speak about the importance of focusing instead on the Indo-Pacific region. And other US officials, including the president himself, have promised the American people and their electoral base that the United States will not be involved in any more forever wars in the Middle East. I have to say, speaking today,